What's up, everybody? Net Alliance here, and Civil War just came out recently, and if you haven't seen it, go see it. From Civil War, it's a pretty good film. Yeah, it's pretty good. I wanted to go through all 13 MCU films, from worst to best, and count them down. So, at the end of the video, let me know your comments, let me know what you guys think about my list. What is your list? Like I said, let me know, comments below. Alright, on to the video. Now, starting at number 13, we got Iron Man 3. There was once a time where I actually chose Iron Man 2 over Iron Man 3, but as time has gone on, I really just realized how much I don't like Iron Man 3. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Iron Man is not actually in it. Now, of course, you can say, well, Tony Stark's in it, and he is Iron Man, so he's in it. Which, of course, yeah, I get that. But the thing is, there wasn't enough Iron Man action. I think one of the best things about Iron Man is the fact that he is Iron Man, you know what I mean? And the fact that this movie really didn't have a lot of impact with him. And the one cool scene with Iron Man with the whole airplane thing, he wasn't even in the suit. You know, I just think that's a little bit of a little bit cheap thing they've done. And I understand that was what they're kind of going for, like, you know, Tony is more than just the suit. And although I understand that's the message they were trying to send, I really wish that they would have had a little bit more Iron Man in this Iron Man film. Plus, the whole Mandarin thing kind of ruined it for me. Now at number 12, we have The Incredible Hulk. Now, The Incredible Hulk is a very decent film. I would say the whole part of it was the fact that it is the second in the entire MCU. And I feel as though it kind of didn't really know what it wanted to be yet. Clearly, the Hulk is better as an ensemble character. I do think that one day we will see a Hulk film that will make the Hulk better, but the one thing I'm kind of tired of, and the thing we saw in the original Hulk movie, like in 2003, and I understand they're not the same Hulk, I understand that, but the whole thing that, like, he's kind of like tormented with himself, he can't control it yet, you know what I mean? And I understand that they wanted to kind of show that, you know, the Hulk can't be controlled. Eventually you can learn how to live with it and kind of tame it, sort of, but you can't ever really control the Hulk side of you. And I understand that whole premise, but I feel as though the movie was just cut out from that. And although they could have ran with that, near the end, he kind of mastered it. You know what I mean? And then, like, in the Avengers, we see him not really mastering it again. And then all of a sudden, he masters it out of nowhere again. You know, so, like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say why this film's, like, not that good. I mean, it's because of that reason, honestly. I mean, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just talking because this movie just makes my mind, like, melt. So I'm giving this number 12. All right, now for number 11, probably the last Marvel film out of all this list that is actually just bad, Iron Man 2. I mean, this movie is absolute garbage. I can't believe the same director who directed this one also did the original. And I think it might be because the first one, they were kind of like, whatever, we'll just spend the money on Iron Man 1, whatever, get this started. Who cares, you know? And so he really tried hard on the first one, and then this one, it seemed like the executive stepped in, like, well, we have to throw this in, and this in, and this in. We'll throw Whiplash in. Yeah, everyone loves Whiplash. And then everyone's like, well, who's Whiplash? It's like, exactly, we'll throw him in there, and then everyone will love him. And he's the most forgettable out of all the villains. In fact, the only thing I remember him saying is he was like, where's my bird? Where's my bird? I mean, that's all I remember him even saying. I just remember he has whips, he attacks Tony at a track, and then all of a sudden he has the ability to build giant mechs and a bunch of, like, robots that he can control, and then they all get taken down by War Machine and Iron Man anyways. One of the plus side of the film is the fact that it introduced the Mark 6 armor, which in my opinion is the best looking armor out of all of Tony Stark's armors. Like I said, just my opinion. But then we have they introduced War Machine, at least, so that was pretty cool. You know, I liked seeing War Machine and Tony going back to back and taking him on, so that was pretty good. But overall, this movie was kind of a fail. It knew how good its prequel was, or its predecessor was, and it didn't even try to reach that amount of greatness. So I just feel like that's why it's so low on this list, and that's why I just do not like this film. All right, starting at number 10, we have Thor 1. Okay, now Thor 1, this is a hard film to go at because we didn't know where exactly it was going to be. So I do feel bad for the directors and the writers in a sense because they didn't really know where to come from or where to go, what was going to happen next, what to do before it. You know what I mean? They didn't really know how to set it up. And I think they did a fairly decent job at getting the Thor story going. You know, I actually didn't mind this film. It's not the greatest, of course, but it's not bad either to me. It's just kind of like okay. So that's why I have it at number 10 here. I don't really know what else to say. You know, Chris Hemsworth is a awesome Thor. I like him as Thor. I never had anyone complain about him as Thor, so that's a good thing, you know, at least they got the casting part right. Which I guess all you have to do is just be a tall, strong, white male to be Thor. So, yeah. But it did introduce Thor into the MCU, so can't really complain that much about it. So that's why it's number 10. Alright, all you trolls, get ready. I'm about to make your day. Alright, so I know I'm going to get tons of crap in the comments because of this, but at my number 9 slot, I have Guardians of the Galaxy. For me, Guardians of the Galaxy really just didn't catch me. You know, like some of these other films, they got me. This one didn't. Now, I have people who tell me the Guardians of the Galaxy is their favorite MCU movie, and I'm like, how? You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's just because with MCU, I like the superhero aspect of it, and I do feel like Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of like a more cartoony Star Wars, in my opinion, and maybe that's why I didn't really see it. You know, I like my Star Wars, I like my Marvel, don't know if I like them combined. So that's kind of why I have Guardians of the Galaxy up at number 9. So although I do understand if you love Guardians of the Galaxy, that's awesome. You know, I'm not bagging on your decision if you want to put this at number 1, number 2. To me, this isn't a Marvel movie though. You know, it feels like I said, a Marvel Star Wars movie, you know, and I don't want to see that. I want to see, you know, superhero action. So that's just me personally. Let me know in the comments below if you disagree with me. And on to number 8. At number 8, we have Thor 2, The Dark World. Now, I chose this here in front of Guardians of the Galaxy because I actually thought this was an improvement on the previous film. Now, it wasn't the best out of all of the sequels films in the MCU, but it is better than the original one. I do feel like it built upon Thor's. The one thing I would probably say is just to kill off Loki already. I mean, although Loki is one of my favorite villains and probably the only good villain out of the entire MCU, I will say that it's time for him to go. You know what I mean? His trickery and stuff, you know, it's cool, whatever, but he made a noble sacrifice in the film. You know what I mean? He redeemed himself for what he did in the Avengers and the first Thor. And then it's all kind of like taken away from him when it's revealed at the end that he's still alive and is posing as Odin. And I feel so like impacted by that because I was like, no, you know, that was perfect. That was the perfect way for Loki to die, to redeem himself, save his brother, you know? And then they ruined it for me. So, I mean, that's why this is at number 8, you know, because of just little stuff like that. Plus that one monster at the end of the film, you think they'd have to deal with that thing, you know what I mean? Like this kind of like gloss over it. Like someone has to deal with that. You can't just let that thing go running around like the streets of London. I think that's London. I don't know. I'm American, so nothing else exists. Now at number 7, we have Captain America, the First Avenger. This film is one of my, I'd say favorite, but also like, I understand it's not that great of a film. Like it's a very decent film, but it's still one of my favorites, not only because of Captain America, but also because of introducing Bucky. He's one of my favorite characters. But also, I just think like the story is good, you know. I honestly, I like the whole thing, you know. They go back in World War II and all that, you know. The film is a good film. I wanted to see more of like Captain America and Bucky and his whole like squad kind of doing more missions and stuff. I feel like that was kind of glossed over. In fact, I think they did a montage over that. So, you know, there could have been more of that. I think there was a lot of build up to that point. I think they could have chopped that down a little more, put some more missions in there, you know, maybe a bigger mission somewhere around the beginning of that before the montage, or, you know, maybe even remove the montage altogether and just kind of like skip a little bit forward in time, and then people are like, oh, you know, I remember that one time when we attacked that bunker and Steve, you were over there and Bucky was over there and he sniped that guy and saved you, and then you threw your shield into 5 guys' faces and it defied gravity and busted everyone's faces up. Now that'd be a good time, you know. So I think they could have included more of that type of stuff into the film. But overall, I mean, it's a fun film and I love to watch this one any day. Now at number 6, probably the biggest surprise to even me, AntMan. You know, I did not think I was gonna like AntMan as much as I did. You know, it's just a fun film. I don't really know what to say about it. You know, Paul Rudd is awesome as Ant-Man. You know, I think it just did a good job of setting up the character and kind of showing what type of person he is. So when he shows up in Civil War, I care a little bit more about him. So for sure, it was a good film, and I actually can't wait to see the next one. We finally hit the final 5. So what do you guys think it's gonna be? Number 5, we have Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Now I put this one in front of all the other ones because I honestly think that this one is a very good film, but of course it's not as good as some of the ones we're gonna see later in the list, and you're gonna see that in just a little bit. Now, of course, Ultron, probably the most threatening out of all the villains. But I mean, Ultron is a badass, and I do feel like the whole conflict of like Tony trying to protect the world and then he ends up actually almost destroying it. You know what I mean? That's such a cool concept, and I feel for sure, even with Civil War, Tony is going on a path he's becoming like the very thing he sought to destroy. You know, he's becoming the evil scientist in a sense, you know, and he's not trying to be evil, but he's just turning out that way because he's not really thinking about what he's doing. You know, sometimes when you do stuff, you kind of have to think about it before you do it, think about some of the repercussions, and he's not thinking about that. He's thinking more of like, he's only looking at the pros, you know, he's not looking at the cons. He's nearsighted at his ideas. So that's why I like Age of Ultron, because all that would have been avoided if Tony would have just thought a little bit more about it. And honestly, yeah, that's it. Now at number 4, I have Captain America's Civil War. Now the reason I have Captain America's Civil War here is because although it is a very good film, it just doesn't beat my other 3. It's a fun film. It's a good time for friends and family to go and just go watch like awesome like superhero moments, especially the airport scene. I think everyone loves the airport scene. You know, it has so many cool moments in there, and it is a fun film. But compared to some story elements, the fact that like, you know, especially the plot hole that's in the very end with Baron Zemo, like there's no way that guy could know that Tony and Cap were both gonna be coming after him. You know, maybe he knew Cap was coming, but he had no idea Tony was gonna be with Cap. I mean, come on, that was kind of bull. Besides the plot holes here and there, it is still a pretty solid film, and another film that I would love to watch. And that's why it's at number 4. At number 3, we have Iron Man. Now, of course, this is the very first movie in the entire MCU. This is the one that kicked it off, and it's still one of the best, which is awesome. You know, usually sequels try to improve, and either they do or they don't. This one really set a high bar, you know. So I understand that other films really couldn't catch up to that bar because of how good this one is. And I mean, I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, Iron Man's in it, Tony Stark, you know, it's the first time we see Tony Stark. You know, we learn how he becomes Iron Man, we learn why he becomes Iron Man. And it really is a good story and explanation of how like the character has become what he is, and what we can see as the movies go on. You see him kind of transform from being the reluctant hero, and he's slowly becoming, you know, a villain. You know, though he's slowly becoming Jebediah. You know what I mean? The one guy, he was his friend in the beginning of Iron Man, and in the end became his enemy. You know, he's becoming that guy almost. You know, and it's sad to see it like that, but that's the way Tony's going. You know, in a way, Iron Man 1 is kind of like he's looking at an older mirror of himself, and he's fighting that person, and he doesn't want to become that person, but he slowly is. So this is the beginning of all of it, and it's one of the best films out of the entire franchise so far. Now, these last 2 films, it was so hard to pick, and it always is whenever someone asks me what's my favorite MCU film. But I honestly have to say that number 2 is Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Now, although I love Captain America, Winter Soldier, and I really want it to be number 1, I just can't, and you'll find out why soon. But I put this as number 2 because this one changed the game. This is the first time we saw the real Captain America. Before that, he was kind of either glossed over or pushed aside in the original Avengers, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's in the front. You know what I mean? Like, they put him right in the front, and he's awesome there. You know, and I feel as though this really showed us what Captain America can be. You know, we only just scratched the surface, and now we're like getting deeper into the core of what he really is and the character that he is and the dark side he has. You know, I love Winter Soldier because it is so dark. You know, it's so raw, I should say. You know, there is no magical powers involved. It's honestly just humans versus humans, and of course superhumans versus superhumans, or I should say super soldier versus super soldier. You know what I mean. That's why this one is so good. There's no magic powers. There's no flying people, shooting people with blasters and stuff like that. You know, it's just natural technology and humans versus technology and humans, and that's why I love it. It's so raw, and it's something we don't really see from the Marvel Universe anymore. So that's why this is number 2 to me. Now, of course, number 1 is the Avengers. You know, the original Avengers. This is the one that set up the MCU, you know, and of course they were setting it up. You know, they had the roots, but this is the base. You know, this is what all of this has come to. You know, if this didn't work out, we wouldn't have all these rest of these movies. You know what I mean? This movie had to be perfect for this entire franchise to work out, and it was to me. You know, this is one of the perfect films. I honestly love this film. I can watch this film every day. Well, maybe not every day, but I can watch it a lot. I mean, the action scenes. I feel DC could learn from Marvel because Marvel knows that it's a movie based on a comic, and they run with that idea and they have fun with it. You know, that's what it's about. Superheroes, you're supposed to have fun, you know what I mean? And that's why, like I said, DC's lacking, but enough about DC. We're on Marvel for right now. Avengers really hit my fancy, and I think everyone loved this movie. In every MCU ranking I've ever seen, this is at least in the top 5. And you know, for rightful reason, it is one of the best films ever. So this is why it is number 1 on this list. Let me know your list in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe if you guys enjoy my videos. And until next time, guys, see ya.